We got a new Backseat critique.
Oh, wait, what? I was here just being overjoyed about that. I'm too small. Hold on. Make it angle. So I'm not a munchkin anymore. You're wearing a hat, so you don't need to see. Now you're like dodging.
I'm tiny.
No, you're not.
I can't be dodging. I'm literally in the center of the shot.
No, you're dodging. Not dodgy.
Dodging, yeah, but I'm literally in the middle of the shot.
That's true. I'm on the edge.
Anyway, this...
We're using a different camera and everything is ruined, just basically is the way that it is.
Yeah, this is the second camera, but this better visual, not as good audio.
I have a hat on because it's Sunday night and I haven't taken a shower yet.
And we chose to make it all sepia tone to be all like cool and
it's
stuff.
Old timey. We're hipsters. We were watching DVDs in the 1880s, just like
yes. Anyway, we watched Skellig, which is a patron request. Like we said, we're going to be doing these more often, eventually. But
just COVID and the crack, and
So this one. It's called Skellig, which is the name of the Irish island where they filmed some of Star Wars. And the other main character is called Michael, which is also the name of the Irish island where they filmed Star Wars, because it was called Skellig Michael.
Skellig is the Irish word for island.
I know, so it's like Skellig Michael. It's like, this was made in 2009 and based on a book in 1998, so clearly this inspired Star Wars.
I feel bad because we get a backseat critique, and especially if it's a kids movie, I'm always kind of afraid that it's like someone's like secret, like, oh, it's my favorite movie ever. I want you guys to experience it because when you like something, you say to, why are you?
My hat's moving.
Okay. Like when you like something and you say to somebody, oh, I really try this food or listen to this song, or I want you to experience it the way that I experience it. And I've gotten to the ripe old age that I am now, realizing that don't do that. Unless you're really sure that they'll like it, because...
I know this pain all too much, because absolutely everything I like is despised by certain someone who's in this room.
No, because here's the thing, like, because sometimes it can backfire. Like, okay, like, so I have a friend who, she's doing the PhD, and she's submits in March. And so she and her boyfriend went to Poland. Like, this was not in the COVID times, this was a few years ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, you have to get pierogies. Because my grandmother was Polish. And so she made pierogies. Like, I mean, yeah, you can get the Mrs. T's ones. They're good. But, like, my grandmother made her own. And I love pierogies. And they're such a pain in the butt to make. I think that's why you have to be a Polish grandmother to have the patience to make them. But, no, because my dough gets... We'll discuss it later. But so I said to my friend, oh, eat pierogies while you're there. And I'm meaning, like, the bog standard, it's a dumpling with mash inside. Irish love spuds. But apparently they went to this one place and they ordered them. And there was, like... There were meat dumplings, these ones, and there was grease, and they were both like, oh my god, whose fault is this? And it was mine, and I still feel bad. And I still to the point where wherever I see this person, I think to myself, one of these days, I will be in the position to make pierogies and say to her, here, this is the real thing that is actually good.
Unfortunately, I have to tell you this, you might not ever be a Polish grandmother.
Well, there's a lot of people that aren't Polish grandmothers. They also struggle making pierogies. But so that's what I mean. So I'm always really afraid that the patron's like, oh, it's my turn, it was mine, finally, I've waited for 3 years because Hagen forgot about me. And then we're like, wow, this movie sucked and it was bad, and we're going to spend 25 minutes telling you why. They're like, I paid for this.
I really hope no one...
But pierogies are great, though, seriously.
I really hope no one ever requests a movie which is that important to them, because if I don't like something, I'm fairly brutal about it.
Although sometimes, like, someone suggested Scream for Me, Sarajevo.
Yeah,
and that was really good. Well, it was a documentary, so obviously.
Yeah, occasionally we get films which we end up liking. But yeah, this one, I heard it was about an angel, and it is about an angel, sort of.
I spent the night thinking that it was that one in black and white on a lighthouse, and I was like, wait a second, this is a kid's movie, what have you done?
And I was like, did you somehow mistake this for The Lighthouse starring Robert Pattinson?
I said, I was deceived, and then I was like, oh, wait a second, no, I deceived myself.
But, this film has been described as a magical story of an unlikely friendship, quality family viewing, a moving story of hope and compassion, pure magic, and triumph. And it's about a homeless angel who eats rats and snails and stuff, who basically hangs out in a shed, and this kid who's really depressed in a really depressing world.
He's not depressed.
And I'm not getting, about the time that the angel starts floating around the room with his two kid friends, then I realized, oh, this is the bit that's meant to be quote unquote
magical and whimsical. But it wasn't. It was like that part in The Craft where they levitate.
I mean, they're in everything is really dour and depressing, but there's some even especially in the fucking house where it's
like England is already depressing. I mean, I ain't saying. I'm just saying, obviously English, but
the house is like the most depressing.
It's full of mold.
Film house I have seen in an English film since Paper House.
Like
since Paper House.
Like this is shot in such a way. Okay, I didn't see A Monster Calls, nor ever read the book. Apparently, the book is fantastic. But the crux of the movie, spoilers apparently, is that there's a wee boy and his mom's dying of horrible fictional cancer, the way that, fictional parents often die of horrible cancer. And then, there's, an ent that helps him get over grief. That's just what I've come to understand from, the reading the back of the book and looking at the cover.
That kid, when he grew up, he became an entomologist.
Would you stop that? But so, I thought this, kind of like urban folklore, kind of like Lady in the Water-esque kind of,
Yeah, I'm very early in this.
There's a lot of bugs. There's the giant Madagascar hissing cockroach.
Randomly
and
in
one of those big fucking huge centipedes that you see in South America. And I was like, those aren't native to Kent.
England. I don't doubt it's Kent because it's north of England.
I know, but ever since I saw the War Games, everything's Kent now.
Fair enough.
Kent, the forgotten province or county, province,
county,
township.
Very early on in this film, I could tell where it was going in the depressing dourness because I got a severe Bridge to Terabithia feeling. I watched Bridge to Terabithia last year, having spent years thinking it was just a kid's magical adventure film, and then it was like, oh, she died. Okay.
I'll never forget that. I was sitting. I had this little heart-shaped rug that I'd inherited from my cousin Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really like it all that much, but the rug in my bedroom in the house in Wallingford, because it was my parents pulled up all the nasty manky carpet, and there was good hardwood floors, so they put down area rugs. But so there was a gap in the Mom said it just had to be the way. Also how I got to pick the color of my bedroom walls, which shade of white. And I was like, this is not what I envisioned. But so I was sitting on the little heart-shaped rug in the middle of my own rug. I don't know why I was doing this, just, And then I read her dying, and I was like...
But at least this one, there was no surprise about it being dour in prison because it was the whole way through. I mean, the uplifting, magical, triumphant thing is the girl doesn't die.
Denouement.
Wow.
Okay, so this movie did something. It kind of wasn't sure how many tropes it wanted for a kid's film, so it just used them all.
I'm an old lady. I'm gonna die.
It hucked everything in there. There was there's a phrase from TV tropes, and I think it doesn't start in TV tropes. The phrase when you have a character in a film, it's called the magical Negro. And it's kind of like this idea of, oh, it's a person, who's a person of color, or they're disabled, or they're they hold some kind of minority status, or they're old and they're Chinese, or they're old and they're Native American. But that would mean that they would not be treated equally in the real world. But they're mystical and magical, and they help the protagonist. They couldn't decide which one of those stereotype characters they wanted. They just threw them all, and we got the 12-year-old inverse manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah.
We've got
we got the elderly
inspirational old lady who you literally see walking off to heaven.
Who's clearly,
walking off to heaven.
Who's got who's maintaining faith in her son, who's clearly a scumbag.
Who doesn't show once she's well, he'll come next week. And I had already said this in the previous scene with her. What did you say when she coughed?
She goes, old lady coughing in a hospital for no reason whatsoever. I give her 10 minutes.
Aye.
She survived another hour, but...
I guess this was a long film. So there was that. There was
There's the angel. There's Skellig.
Yeah, but then there's he's the main character.
Yeah, but he's also a magical.
Yeah.
He's another
there's the best friend.
A magical Negro, because almost all the magical Negro characters in this are white. So.
Yeah, but Negro makes it sound like it's like a chia pet or something.
I know, but it's a spin-off of
it's a spin-off of
his
wings.
Like, dude, that's kind of how they work. But it's a spin-off of the term wigger.
Oh, I know what you mean. I know.
I'm very clever.
Like, at his best friend is a black kid who is, like, obviously 2 years older than everyone else in the grade because he's the only one that's hit puberty.
He's like a foot taller than everyone else.
Yeah, he's, like, popular, he's athletic, he's, like, good at everything, but he's, like, this loser kid's friend. But it's just...
And you got this little ginger kid.
Oh, yeah. You got a little ginger bully kid who wears his hair long. Like,
yeah, okay.
So,
you've
like...
got the dynamic of the three kids. You've got the main character, Michael, who's a bit of a,
He's quiet, he's shy, doesn't talk.
Quiet wuss thing there.
He's afraid to go up off the high dive.
His best friend is this really muscular...
outgoing, happy guy.
Happy, giant sort of guy who's like, I'm really popular and amazing, and and then you've got this...
But wait...
You got this...
He has an abusive stepfather, which is mentioned once and never again.
But then you got a third kid who's A, ginger, B, short, C, a little bit chubby, D, has long hair.
It looks like okay, no, I wouldn't say that it looks like girl's hair, but like if you had told me, oh, that character is non-binary, I would the kid looks really androgynous, and I'm like, how are you not getting the shit kicked out of you by him?
Yeah, this is the bully of the class.
He's not even a really good bully either.
He just bullies that guy.
And it's like
main guy.
His jokes aren't even all that. It's just. And there's this really great scene
it's
where
a weird dynamic.
Like there's the kids are supposed to listen to like the coach talk, and you see one of the child actors make eye contact with the camera for a second. Like, I guess that was the best take they had.
The kid who is distractingly the guy who presents the quiz show Pointless.
But and then John Sims the dad, and like.
I am the master of this house because I'm your dad. It's really distracting to watch John Simmons not want to punch him. I mean, I've seen Human Traffic and I've seen him in Doctor Who.
He's probably a nice guy in real life.
I'm pretty sure he must be. He seems to be. But, I've only ever seen him in Doctor Who and Human Traffic. And, this is the first time I've seen something that I didn't want to punch his character.
Maybe, like, I don't know, just search the works and... John Simmons.
Do I have to?
I don't care. I'm not
the only other thing I can think of that he was in was Life on Mars, and that was created by the dude who created Bone Kickers.
Oh,
I'm not watching that.
Well, anyway, so the premise of this is that they move across town out of a flat, and the dad is a taxi driver. I don't know what the month is. She doesn't work, or she might be on. She's probably off.
She's professionally Scottish.
No, she's probably off on maternity already.
Yeah.
So he wants to move them because like they have a new baby on the way, and the kid's 12, and you learn like midway through the thing that they've been trying for years to have kids. Like apparently a shit ton of medical tests. She's had multiple miscarriages, and like at the end, towards the climax of the film, you find out that the main character Michael wasn't aware of all of that going on. So like. The fact that, like, his parents are, like, so focused on the baby, like, the father, like, moved them to this house that was falling apart, that the previous owner was an elderly disabled, potentially hoarder who died in the kitchen.
Who had a toilet in his bedroom, or was it the living room? Either way.
It was probably originally the water closet and they knocked down the wall.
Yeah.
Because you can probably install a modern toilet, but that was a water closet. That was the tank on the ceiling, pull a chain, it fall on your head kind of thing.
You wish you had that kind of toilet.
I used that kind of toilet when we went to Alcon.
You wish that we had one in the flat.
It's a De Montfort, right? Is the one it says De Montfort or University?
De Montfort University in Leicester.
Yeah. Well, one of their buildings, they're really nice, like modern lecture building. Well, the toilets on the first floor are the old. I didn't know what to do. I took a picture with my cell phone. I was like, Jesus Christ, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, but you wish you had a toilet.
I figured it out because there was a sign. It said pull the chain.
You can just be like sitting there and be all like, think about the fact that, wow, I feel a little bit more Victorian now.
No, it's awful. I was afraid it was going to fall on my head. Can you imagine, like, how they think urinal on the ceiling? You have to just, like, aim.
I recall...
It was hard to pee in the first toilets.
I recall at least one or two of the toilets in my school when I was growing up had toilets like that.
You went to school in an asylum, though.
I did literally go to school in an asylum.
That's what happened.
It's very metal. It was one of the asylum... The school bought one of the old administration buildings and they just operated out of that and a bunch of porta cabins. It was great.
Well, I mean, that area is still, used for psychiatric care.
Yeah.
Branch it is, but it's like a real, like, proper hospital now. But yeah, so basically they move and he's like emotionally detached because, well, obviously his parents, kind of only really pay him lip service because they're like obsessed with the baby. But I mean, that happens. It happens, no blame on them. And like, I kept expecting this to go to darker, worse places than it did. I guess because I'm so used to like the horrific stuff we usually have to watch.
Yeah.
Like, the kid goes off into the shed to go because like he's about to find Skellig there, but that won't happen for another few scenes. And then the mom goes into preterm labor, although she looked like she was at least 7 to 8 months.
Yeah.
So I mean, and the baby doesn't look like a preemie, but then again, they had to get there were the hospital shots. It was actually an infant, a real infant.
They didn't have the budget to make a convincing premature-looking baby.
Yeah, so like it's like the whole like camera trick, like you only see the top of the head of the baby prop and all, like when the baby's home, but in the hospital it's actually like a real infant who is obviously not a preemie.
Yeah.
Obviously several months old and obviously healthy and not in any kind of distress. Beautiful blush in child's cheeks, like rosy complexion with like the baby's dying. But
then, the Skellig is the angel who eats mice. Is living in like the shed.
Like owl bat wings, with like a dew claw.
He's basically a really depressed angel who's like wants to die and stuff. And
but the wing part doesn't come out until at least 2/3 of the way through the thing. So for most of it, you just think that he's like a homeless alcoholic pedophile living in this kid's shed.
And the dad never goes into the shed, even though he's working on the house. Like never, ever, not even looking to take a glance in to see if there's any antiques or anything in there.
There's like a Spitfire like hanging off.
Eventually, he decides to tear down the shed without ever having gone inside it, and then sets fire to it.
Well, he's having a manic episode
without ever going inside it.
Well, no, that's understandable because he's basically like okay. So the mom goes into preterm labor and she's like, oh no, and she calls for the kid and he's not there and the radio's on super loud and she knocks her cell phone to the ground. Although the one continuity error in IMDb was the fact that she knocks it to the ground when the pot breaks, but then when he comes back in, the phone's back on the counter and there's no way she could have picked it up. And I'm like, oh my god, I see where this is going. Like the second she screamed in pain, I was like, she's going to miscarry the child or she's going to like have preeclampsia or some kind of horrible thing, and they're going to blame him for being out in the shed and not calling 999 or something like that, and the child's health problems will be his fault. I was so ready for this to go there, and then the dad's like, don't worry, it's going to be okay, and then like later another scene, the kid's like, is it my fault? And dad's like, no, it wasn't your fault.
Yeah, the parents are very, very decent. It's like they're
I was so ready for them to.
Apart from refusal to go inside sheds, they're generally decent.
But there's so the baby's got some heart issues. It's probably like developmental issues. Like my sister, when she was born, she had a very small hole and like it probably like this big. No, but like white supremacy, like this big, but it closed up by itself. That happens a lot. But like, so they take the baby home and then they take me back to the hospital and like. Parents have this big fight, and the mom's like, you had to move, you had to you're a big man with your big house, and I didn't want this shit and things and stuff, and so then like they have a fight. He takes her to the hospital, and then comes back, and basically it's implied he's kind of having a breakdown. He just starts manically working on the house, and then he just decides, like the kid comes out, like, oh, what are you doing to the shed? Don't go inside the shed. He's like, your mother said you want it down, and I didn't do it. I'm gonna do something right for once in my life. And then he's like trying to tear it down, and the kid's trying to stop him. So he's like, go inside. And then he burns the thing down. And this is not the actions of someone rational. And the movie does highlight that he's acting irrationally.
I know, but it's like at no point did he go into the shed. It just makes no sense. They should have gone in there and like found Skellig invisible or something.
Your man from like the Antiques Roadshow is like crouching inside. I don't know how much this is worth.
Yeah, there should have been some scene where he went in and he couldn't see Skellig for whatever reason.
Yeah, he gets Skellig out of there.
But anyway, Skellig gets rescued and put up on like this tower, so he's inside.
This random tower.
Occasionally we get these exterior shots of Skellig's massive erection, and he gets stronger and he can fly. And guess who directed this?
Oh yeah, tell them.
One of the co-creators of Max Headroom, making this one of the directors of a little film called Super Mario Brothers.
I want to know. I mean, that was obviously a real tower. Like
no, it was CGI. It was added in. It was not
but the set was real.
They built. That was all. It was built. That was not a real tower.
Because it looks like it's supposed to be medieval, but like medieval stonework in the UK and Ireland, as far as I've seen, is usually like grounds kept and the National Trust is involved somehow.
Not always.
Yeah, but if it was really medieval, would it be left to crumble away?
It could be. Do we have to remember the case of the castle that was lost in Ireland for several hundred years?
But Ireland doesn't have the National Trust.
Pretty sure they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
Their own one.
I'm pretty sure they do. But yeah, so
if you remember right, the show.
Not all old buildings in the British Isles are looked after.
I know. It just felt really weird. It just felt like, I don't know. Its aesthetic didn't match.
I figured it was probably like restoration or something. Yeah. But I wasn't actually kidding about that. In Ireland, they found a castle that had been missing for several centuries.
It was on Castle Street.
Yes.
Google it. It's real. It
was found on Castle Street behind some trees. The people who lived there assumed it was not a castle but something else, and historian was like, "Holy fuck, it's the castle!"
Hush. Don't shout. Not like Dungiven Castle, which you hate.
I do.
But yeah, like, Tim Roth is a good actor, but he just came across as weird and bastardly and creepy. And then, like, the inverse manic pixie dream girl, I didn't like her very much. Her mother's in it. She has, like, one line. They live on a caravan on someone else's land. It's trailer.
She just sort of, the mother sort of looks in and sees that the kid's staying the night with her daughter for no reason whatsoever. And she's like, "I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you."
Well, no, she's like, says goodnight to both of you. But then, like, here's the thing, like, the girl's a few years older than him, so she's got to be, like, 14.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't want tweens. You never know what they get up to. Just saying.
Wasn't big into this film.
It was boring, and there was all these little, like, it felt like it wanted to be. It felt like it wanted to be so many different other movies that there were just random NPC characters that would blow in, like, vomit life lessons on you and then be gone by the next scene. I mean, like, a little boy might like it. Well, no, that's not true. Like, you shouldn't gender bugs, but, like, children, statistically young men tend to be more into creepy crawlies. So they're socialized being more into creepy crawlies than girls.
Creepy crawlies are only in little parts this near the start, really, though.
Yeah, but, like, the whole aesthetic is kind of like an old shed. You don't want to touch anything. You don't want to get mold on you. This was not like an E.T., like them, like, doing all, like, the standard, like, obvious kid lies to parent to keep E.T. safe. That's, like, charming and whimsical and wonderful. This wasn't. This was unpleasant.
It's just grimy and dour.
And then he, like, gets his wings, and they're not even proper angel or demon wings. They're, like,
they're very half-hearted wings.
He might be an owl. I mean, the practical effects were good.
Yeah, but he's got basically one row of feathers. I mean, you're expecting like 5 or 6 or 12 rows. It's just like
it's the majesty of the Lord.
It's a bit crappy when it comes to the feathers.
Like, the film is subtitled The Owl Man. I don't know on IMDb. That's what it says, but
probably because he's eating like small animals.
But he can also perform miracles because it looks like the babysister's gonna die, and they bring his heart surgeon up from London and things and stuff, and then he goes upstairs to visit the old lady, and obviously the nurse is like, "Well, she died last night," because, like, in her last scene, she walked down the hall to, like, natural light coming from both sides and, like, wind blowing her dressing gown. And I said, and she walked away into heaven. And she did. So then, like, a fly dies, or the nurse snaps a fly with a towel, and I don't know, it dies. And he's like, "I know it." And then he runs off to the tower and, like, jumps off the tower to make Skellig fly and catch him. And then they have this, like, weirdly uncomfortable, like, Falcor moment.
Yeah.
Or, like, they fly whimsically, but he's an old creepy guy, so it's like Flight of the Pedophiles. It's just like...
And then he's flying the kid, like, holding on to his, like, by hand.
The kid passes out, and you're just like...
really low and against some water, so the kid grabs some water and throws it into Skellig's face, which is,
playfully.
Having never been flown anywhere intimately by, like, an angel, I don't know for sure, but I imagine throwing water into their face mid-flight is not the best thing you can do.
Yeah, and, like, it's kind of like when you're in traffic and the car in front of you, like, spritzes stuff on their windshield and it goes on your windshield. It's like, fuck, I didn't want to. You made the decision for both of us, dick.
So, yeah.
But then... Oh, sorry.
We've seen better.
So then he goes to the hospital and walks in, just like the part in the Bone Thugs and Harmony video for the Crossroads, where, like, the angel of death goes in and, like, takes the baby away because the baby dies, but it's not. He, like, takes the baby and levitates with it for a while, and then the baby's healed. By the power of the Lord. Just like in that song by Live, Lightning Crashes.
Skellig would have been the film would have been at least 13% better if Doug Jones had played Skellig under sort of making weird prosthetics, make him look all freaky and stuff, because he just looks like a dude.
He's just horrifying.
I'm pretty sure, at least at the start, he's meant to look much more weird than that. It looks better as the film goes. He's supposed to look better as the story goes on.
And he was wearing the long coat, just like out of City of Angels, the Nick Cage documentary about angels. But
I also love angel documentaries like Angels in America.
The only good thing about that movie, actually no, the best thing about that movie was the song "Uninvited" on the soundtrack by Alanis Morissette. I love that song. But it just like the live song "Lightning Crashes." Yeah. Lightning crashes, and old mother dies. Her intentions fall to the floor. The angel opens her eyes, pale blue colored eyes. I like Live. Secrets on Haunted was a good album. It's with Storm Copper.
Skellig is a magical and inspiring tale of friendship told with compassion and sensitivity that won't fail to touch your heart.
It did. It failed. It was rubbish. I mean, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry because I feel like we're just crushing the hopes and dreams of a patron who was like, I paid and I wanted you to say good things about it because it was whimsical, magical. Fuckers.
Definitely not for me.
It was really funny. We looked at the parents' guide to all of the, and they it's nudity, and we're like, sex and nudity, what? And they were like, and it's not just, it's like someone's comment, so it was badly punctuated. I don't even know how it got accepted as a comment, but it was like, there is a baby that is naked, but is not in a sexual way. It is because the baby is sick. The shots are of a baby in a diaper in an incubator. So, like, I think that if a baby is just wearing a diaper, that doesn't count as nudity because all babies look the same. And like, you can have a baby on TV in just a diaper at any time of the day, and it's not.
And the baby was also covered in like electrodes and sort of, like, medical stuff stuck to her, so it was more dressed than most babies when
but like nappies. Someone like felt that they had to make that point.
Weird person. Anyway, shall we sum up?
It was strange and it was creepy and it was not good, and now I kind of feel uncomfortable on Tim Roth. Like if I saw him, I just kind of like be like sidle away.
Well, hi Tim Roth. I liked you in Hardcore Henry.
I like how you think that I'd be able to recognize somebody because you know how face blind I am. I can't. Who was it? The last one that we did, and I confused up Donald and Danny Glover.
Even the one's like 50 years older than the other.
I guess I must have been thinking about the 80s.
Anyway, that is from us. Hopefully it will be soonish when we do the next one.
It was all you dreamed of and more.
If you're waiting on one, please let me know. Please leave a comment. Please yell at me. Throw a brick through our window.
Do not do this. Actually, we're on the 3rd floor, so good luck with that. You can throw a brick there.
Goodbye. Oh no, I cannot find the button. Where is the button?